Om Shri Sai Ram, Gita Vahini, by Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, Chapter 19. Better to practice Gita than to preach. Speakers who are out to spread the Gita have multiplied nowadays, and as a consequence, a variety of interpretations, most of them far removed from the genuine one, have emanated, clouding the true meaning or purpose of the words of God. Interpretations follow the exponent's nature and character with their parrot-like words in their own customized ways, but no attempt is made to practice the Gita and make it part of one's actual life. Such persons pretend to be great Gita pracharaks or exponents of the Gita and go about heavy with the burden of credentials and titles. They do not only deceive themselves by this act, but they also undermine the trust of the world placed on the Gita. Every word of God is absolutely fit to practice, not merely to preach, but the times have gone so awry that a completely contrary course is followed today by the so-called pracharaks. And when we try to decipher the power of discrimination in those who listen to the expositions of these pracharaks, they simply count to cipher. They do not care to examine whether the persons who extol the Gita to the skies have experienced the essence of its teachings. People are becoming fanatic followers for the eloquent speech and the flamboyant behavior of fancy conduct. They exhort others, but those who are exhorted find that the teachers do not themselves follow the lesson. No, not even one in a million. There are some who boast that they have the entire Gita on the tip of the tongue, that they can roll out on the spot any shloka from the Gita which you want to hear if only the chapter, any number are given. I am inclined to laugh when such scholarship is exhibited. Poor tongue, that it should carry so much on its tip without any of being absorbed in actual life or daily practice. A gramophone record can repeat as well as they, and with equal benefit to itself. At the least, the practicing one verse certainly eats more benefit than learning all the verses by rote and retaining them in memory. Arjuna proved every word of Krishna true by practicing it. His sincerity won him the grace of Krishna. It is a pity that even extremely learned pundits at the present time are unaware of the thrill of putting into practice a single word of the Gita. What then are we to say of the unlearned, the ignorant? In short, even some very reputed exponents of the Gita are playing false to its teaching, acting contrary to the message. To the song of the Lord, the Bhagavad Gita, each one adds a fancy note of his own to demonstrate his special twists in scholarship or his favorite predilection. Let us consider one example of this type. The 10th verse of the 6th chapter of the Gita declares that parigraha, that is, accepting or craving for gifts or material possessions in any form from others, is a great sin. Now, those who accept the Gita as an authority or fundamental source of knowledge should act accordingly, avoiding parigraha, isn't it? Contrary to that, 99% of these pracharaks, however, do crave or accept in some form or the other. The condemnation of parigraha applies to all forms. There are no modifying circumstances or exceptions. Yet, collections and contributions are asked under various titles like funds for Gita Yajanams, as offerings during Arati, as expenses for the Gita Pracharak Sanghams, as Kanuka or in remuneration for the Guru, etc. Lord Krishna never made any such exceptions. Lectures on Gita are sold for tickets as entertainment, like the drama in cinema is sold. People who do these have no faith in the words of Krishna, for had they had the faith, they would not have behaved in such contrary ways. If they were convinced that it is wrong, they would not be tempted to act so. Probably that is the spirit of the Kali age, where the preachers or the Gita Pracharaks would not accumulate sin. This type of Gita Prachar gradually inflicts significant harm, ultimately resulting in the loss of faith in the Gita itself. The publicity of this kind dissolves into mere pomp and vanity. The teachings of the Gita do not get the respect that the Gita book gets. Thousands of people, when they see the sacred books like Gita, Ramayana, Bhagavata, Mahabharata, etc., bow their heads, press them to their eyes, place them on their heads, keep them as a special seat in the shrine, and reverentially placing a few flowers on them, they sit with closed eyes and with teardrops rolling down their cheeks, fall prostrate before the books, and rise very much satisfied with themselves. All that reverence is for the stack of paper, really, not for the contents of the books, the subjects they deal with. What the head must carry is not the mass of the paper, but the message explained thereon. Revere not the volume, but the matter expounded therein. Install it not on the altar, but in the heart. For it is only when that authority of the Gita will be honored steadily, brilliantly at all times, the mind will not be cleansed of its impurities by all these outward forms of reverence. Learning by rote, offering worship in the shrine room, holding on the head, pressing on the eyes, etc. Let the message enter the heart, put it into actual practice, and taste the joy that comes therefrom. That is the way of honoring the Gita. The tastier dish can never end your hunger if you place it on the head or press it to your eye or fall prostrate before it. The Gita too is on a par with this. The Gita is a dish nourished with nectarous ingredients of bhakti, jnana, karma, that is self-knowledge, distraction-free devotion, and vairagya or non-attachment as a result of wisdom. Blessed are the ones who partake it. They are the ones who are truly believed to have imbibed the essence of the Gita. A modest amount suffices. The hungry man does not need all the grain that is harvested. A handful of rice suffices. The thirsty man need not drink the Godavari or Krishna rivers dry. A glass of water suffices. Similarly, he who has hunger called Bhagavat Anurakiti, Bhagavat Anurakti, unconditional love for God, need not consume the entire Gita. It can be quenched by practicing even one shloka. A box of matches has many sticks. If you want to light a fire, you need to strike only one. You can grow the little flame into a huge fire. With care and diligence, the entire stalk of sticks need not be struck. Likewise, there are 700 sticks in the Gita, each one a stick from which you can light the flame of jnana. Strike one on the stone of experience, that is enough. The Gita has to be used thus for a promotional benefit. That is the holy task for which it is designed. It is a great sin or mistake to misuse it. All attempts to use it for fame and fortune, for titles and display are but symptoms or swaratham or selfishness. They are acts of sacrilege. The essence called gandha or fragrance must be extracted from this grantha, holy text. Transform the pustakam book into a mastakam or brain. Do not, on the other hand, transform the mastakam into a pustakam, the brain into a book. Perceive God even in the stone, but not God as a stone. This vision is the precious gift that God has given to the people of this land of Bharat. Pearls do not float on the waves of the ocean. Dive deep into the silent caverns at the bottom of you yearn for them. Dive deep into the silent caverns at the bottom if you yearn for them. The people of this land of Bharat have sought for God in this manner since ages. The practice of Dharma is the body. The realization of God is its heart. This is the truth that has urged the people here in Bharat to march forward and save themselves. They are not slaves to mere outward polish, external embroidery or material comfort. They engage in Atman Vesana, self-inquiry, with Antardrishti, the inward vision, with Niswaratha Indriyam, or the pure and unsullied heart. The people of Bharat who have this grand nature are however attracted today by material progress and outward pomp. This is a tragedy much to be regretted. Those who go about expounding the Gita with the object of earning money are thereby keeping Gita afar. They may find out and give various justifications for their behavior, no doubt. They may plot the plans in various methods, but no one who has real faith in the Gita or who is a real adherent of its teachings can accept their explanations. The Gita is spoken in order to foster Dharma, not to garner dhanam, or wealth or riches. Collecting funds in the name of temple construction for Krishna or for Rama, or to build ashrams, or in name of organizing Gita Pracharam sessions is another means of losing faith in God. Building a house for the Lord, who is eminent and all-pervading, is absurd. The abode of heart is the proper temple where God is to be installed. Efforts must be directed towards this objective. To put up an artificial structure that is certain to be ravaged by time for the eternal absolute, the indestructible Godhead, is very improper. Of course, until a stage is reached, these may be necessary, but in that case, it is wiser to make the best use of the ancient temples that already exist. Is it not a wiser idea to conserve and utilize the ancient temples? Building new ones and ruining the old ones is as foolish as killing the cow and donating footwear made out of its hide. The welfare of the world can be promoted by the renovation of old-time temples and not by the creation of new ones. The installation of idols of God in those ancient days was done according to strict Shastric ritual, and so they are highly auspicious. The power radiated from those holy ancient temples confers upon this land of Bharat whatever little welfare it enjoys now. The great and noble rishis or sages of the past performed pious tapas or penance, detached themselves from the world, and even disintegrated their physiques in the search for the secrets of social uplift. They have designed and handed down certain codes of conduct and rules of living which are practicable and simple. Even these are now neglected or misunderstood. New codes and rules are imposed following the whims and prejudices of some authorities, and these precious ones have gone under. Instead of striving to restore the precious codes of conduct and rules of living of the past, when elders and gurus accept and honor these newfangled modes of behavior, how can Bharat continue to be Dharma Kshetra, or the field of righteousness, Yoga Kshetra, the field of self-control, and Tyaga Kshetra, the field of sacrifice? This downfall in ideals explains why the land, which verily was Annapurna, goddess of food and nourishment, feeding all her children full, has to wait today for food. The holy experience, Shivoham, I am Shiva, was resounding from every mountain valley, every cave, every temple and each sacred river bank. But now the cry is, Shavoham, Shavoham, I am dead, I am dead. The land has lost its natural joy. It is infested with anxiety. It is the home of self-aggrandizement. It is pursuing empty pomp. To counteract these tendencies, Acharana Rupa Pracharam, exposition of the Gita that is founded on successful practice and experience, has become very necessary. Everyone from the simple unlettered man to the Paramahansa, that is realized sage, must recognize this need. All must cultivate faith in the Gita and take it as the authentic word of the Lord and put the teachings into practice. Mere reading and repeating are of no avail. The Lord has given the assurance, Yoga Shemam, Vahamahayam, I shall bear the burden of your welfare here and hereafter. But for mortals and aspirants to benefit from this, they have to live as ordained by the Lord. They have to adhere to the lines laid down. When they feel that they are not so helped, they have only to examine their own lives and discover how far they have kept up the commands of God regarding the regulation of life. They fail to examine this. They do not consider the lines spoken before and after the assurance. This is the root of their suffering. While considering this assurance, the condition precedent contained in the same shloka, Ananya Chintanaya Chintanayo Mam Ye Jahanaha Paripashyate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam, remain steadfast in my devotion and worship with single-minded focus without any deviations has to be remembered. Yoga Shemam Vahamahayam, I shall bear the burden of your welfare here and hereafter, is the crown of this condition, the final fruit. The assurance is the head, but no head can function independently of limbs. Limbs are the conditions attached precedent to the assurance. Holding fast to the head only, apart from legs, stomach, and shoulders, is like putting faith in the key in one's hand after the iron safe has been stolen by thieves. Of what use? Of what use is the key after the treasure is burgled? The conditions for the fulfillment of that assurance are Ananya Chinta, meditating on the Lord without any distractions, Upasana, or contemplation of the Lord or worship of the Lord, and Saranu, complete surrender to the Lord. If unbroken meditation is absent, when worship is not offered without complete surrender, what justification is there for you to complain that He is not bearing the burden of your welfare? You surrender to others, you praise and extol others, you are immersed in other thoughts. How then can He assume the burden of your welfare? If those others are visualized as divine and all acts are done in the spirit of dedication to the Lord, that is enough to win the grace of Lord. Now you impress others and press the Lord for reward. How can this be considered as Ananya Chinta or distraction-free mind on the Lord? If a man seeks ashrayam or the succor or refuge of the king, he must serve him wholeheartedly. If he takes refuge in the king, but as abhimanam or love towards samsaram or worldly life, that cannot be termed as sharanagati or surrender to the Lord. Ashrayam and abhimanam must align with one another. That is the secret of sharanagati or surrender. The Gita has this shloka beginning with Ananya Chintana Yantoman as its nabhi or nucleus or focus. Vyasa or sage who compiled the Gita, Vedas and Puranas made a lovely garland called the Gita, using the words of Lord Krishna as flowers of that garland. This shloka is the central ornament. It is the central jewel of that garland of gems. The words yoga and kshema used by the Lord here can also mean as follows. Yoga, the acquisition of something desirable, and kshema, the preservation of that is thus acquired. The discipline by which you can preserve it is ananya chinta, exclusive meditation on the Lord. That ananya chinta on the Lord will cleanse the mind. A pure mind free from any impurities is the hallmark of a bhakta, or the unconditional lover of God. The bhakta is recognized by these things. He talks to the Lord, he sings of the Lord, he sees only the Lord, he works and spends his leisure with the Lord. Such persons have no need to perform yajanam or yagam. They need not busy themselves with meritorious acts of charity. They need not go from one holy place to another. Why should they be sad if they miss these things and complain that the Lord did not give them the chance or the wherewithal for these? God does not insist on these or crave for these. He gladly accepts all. Whatever is offered with a pure mind, you may engage yourselves in what are termed satkarmas or good and noble deeds. But if the mind is unclean, if the vessel is not tinned with Bhagavad Chintana or the thought of God, they are all polluted into poison. God is particular that the vessel should be clean. Read the experiences of such ardent devotees in the epics and Puranas. For instance, note how the handful of parched rice that Kuchela or Sudama offered the Lord with a pure hearted pleased him. What did Vidura and Draupadi offer the Lord? Vidura gave a cup of gruel. Draupadi had only a wee bit of leaf to offer. What is the price of them? Not even half a paisa in this transactional world. But consider how much the Lord gave in return. He does not calculate the transactional value of things. He calculates the motives that prompted the act. That is bhava shuddhi. So sustain the purity of bhavams, feelings, motives, thoughts, expressions in order to win His grace. Jai Sai Ram.
Saishwaraya vidmahe Satya Devaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satya Devaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satya Devaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om